can tell I'm not very good with tech. I didn't know it was on, so thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Kathy Afzali. Some of you, we met last night, and just wanted to thank you for coming here and thank you for inviting us, the Free State Patriots. And I am a Maryland State Delegate representing District 4A. I'm a newly elected delegate. I'm kind of the epitome of the unlikely politician. I ran for office for the first time in 2010, and the status quo in Frederick County said that I couldn't win. Someone with no experience in politics could never beat the old boy network in Frederick County, and I did. And I did because of people such as yourself who believe that government is run by the citizens and not by professional politicians. And so I sought to serve, and I have, and I'm happy to do so. I am particularly frustrated by the state of our economy and the state of our nation, and I'm worried for my own children. I'm worried for my daughters about their future, about what those opportunities were that my husband and I had, that I'm worried they won't have available to them because they'll be paying the debt on this terrible, terrible spending spree that Obama and Bush, there is blame there as well, that they went on, and we need to keep it in check, and that's what will be the role of that checks and balances and whoever you send to the U.S. Congress. I'm thrilled to be here. I'm going to enjoy the debate with my fellow candidates. Some of you we debated last night, some of you we didn't, so it'll be interesting to hear everyone's opinion, but I will share again what I shared last night, and that is, for the most part, we agree on most issues. But the question is, who can win and hold District 6 out of Obama's hands? And I hope and I think that I am the person to do that. So, thank you. Well, that's about to fit in a minute. It is a 10. It's scary, and it's off the chart, unsustainable at this point. First and foremost, I will never vote to raise the debt limit, which has been something that our current congressman has been doing repeatedly for years. It is our GDP right now. We are spending over 100% of our GDP each year, so this is unsustainable. So the question is, how do we pull this all together? There's things that we need to do to put in order to bring this debt down, and one of those, I believe, is to lower the corporate income tax rate so that we actually can make more money. We have so many companies now that are incorporated out of our country because they can't afford the corporate income tax here, or they take advantage of the loopholes, which means our country loses the money. So that's a key issue. We need to immediately reduce the spending, obviously. We need to repeal Obamacare, and we need to, again, cap this debt limit until we can get a handle on this terrible debt. So, thank you. Well, I disagree with one comment, and it was you take better care of things that you own. Actually, you take better care of things that you've earned. And through the Community Reinvestment Act, which was kind of started under Jimmy Carter, but what really was the source and the creation of this housing bubble was this act that allowed people to buy houses that didn't have jobs, that didn't have credit ratings, and all of a sudden, people who should never have bought a home were buying homes that they couldn't afford, and that's where we are today. And I am in the real estate market. My business is real estate and property investment and management. Besides biotech and pharmaceutical, which Mr. Chris Zaforsky said he was in that business as well. So I have a handle in healthcare as well as real estate, and recognize that this issue with real estate is not going to go away, and it's not going to turn until we have an overall economic return. As for Dodd-Frank, again, it creates a huge bureaucratic mess. It creates a permanent bailout ability for our United States government. So this is a very dangerous prospect, that the government is going to start deciding who should live and who should survive and who should go down. This is a very slippery slope, and Dodd-Frank needs to be repealed immediately. Well, I've had experience as to why people don't like Congress or their elected bodies, and that is because there's a sense of aristocracy that comes when people are there too long. And I think, my colleagues here were talking about term limits, or at least referencing that some people have been there too long. It happens in the state legislature, and it happens in our nation's capital. The question is, again, are you the people going to make a change when our current congressman is completely backed by the RNCC and they're giving him thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars? And then you have fresh faces, people who've been on the bench, people who are ready to explode, people who want to make a difference, who are coming forward and saying, I can help this, I can do something about this. And immediately the very people who are saying they want change in Washington are saying, oh, well, his commercials look good. Of course, his commercials cost $200,000. So it's very hypocritical for people to say they want change in Washington and then to go ahead and vote for the very same people who are the source of the problem. I work in Annapolis. I have an open door policy. I am one of those people who I don't think will fall into those traps. I want to have term limits. They will be self-imposed. I couldn't imagine wanting to be there for 20 years. I have other things in life to do, but I believe this is a duty and a service. So, anyway, thank you. I'm particularly interested in Iran. Some of you might know that my husband is an immigrant from Iran. He got out of Iran just before the fall of the Shah. So I have a lot of opinions about Iran that will not fit into a minute, but I will tell you that we must be very, very certain with Iran that they are an imminent threat. Now, their threat is not always overt. They are often cowardly with one-on-one direct hits, but they do hit us, and they hit us regularly at our embassies, through terrorist attacks, through funding of terrorists, and this cannot be taken lightly. So the question is what to do about Iran. We do not want Iran to get a nuclear weapon. This would be a disaster for world peace and a disaster for the world economy. We know about the Straits of Hormuz. They are trying to stop the world oil flow. They could hold the world hostage. We must act swiftly and strongly and be very, very certain that Iran is a threat. Well, I'm a free market capitalist. Love me or not, that's what I am. And I do not believe that government should arbitrarily set limits or wage increases. This ties into another issue I'm very passionately opposed to, and that is Davis-Bacon, another instance where government sets a standard for states to have to meet. Davis-Bacon is a law that sets the wages for government projects. And this is a travesty because in right-to-work states, this is a significant problem. And what that says to a state is that, or to a company, is that you have to pay a certain wage, and there could be 20 other companies that can beat those prices, that can do the project for 30 or 40% less money, but they still have to pay those wages that our government is arbitrarily setting for you, the taxpayer, to have to pay. So we're getting screwed on two fronts. So anyway, government should never set wages. That is up to the free market, and you and your company know what kind of help you can get for that price.
Thank you.
Well, I'm very fortunate in that I've always been able to work. Even in my very, very young life, when I was in New York and I danced in New York, I was always able to work. Even when people said there's no jobs, I was always able to work. And so I'm a little frustrated when people say they can't find a job. Now, I recognize that the economy is very tough right now, and I recognize that there are a lot of people out of work, and I don't mean to sound insensitive to that, especially in the construction industry, and I know people who are truly suffering right now. But this perpetual problem of somehow believing that I owe them or you owe them their milk money, that your hard work, the sweat off of your brow, you get up in the morning and you go to work and somehow that it's owed to them, I find that particularly frustrating. And I do not believe in the culture of welfare. I think it was a huge mistake FDR made. I don't believe he's one of our best presidents, as some people would argue with me. But at any rate, I think much of the welfare system needs to be completely eliminated. I want to thank you again for having us here today. It's really an honor and a privilege to come and talk about what I believe, and I think my friends here believe, is a critical race. It's going to be critical not just for the people of District 6 and the state of Maryland, but it's, I believe, going to be critical for our nation. It could be a pivotal race. What we need in District 6 is someone who is going to be very tenacious, a very heavy campaigner. I think that I proved in Frederick County that I am the toughest campaigner there, that there were over 5,000 doors that I knocked on, and I was tough. And I was in a very competitive race, in a race where people laughed and said I could not win, and I did. And I can do that again. I will share with you that you asked why I would be better than Roscoe Bartlett or the current incumbent. And when I'm going around District 6 and I'm campaigning and shaking people's hands, people say, well, why should I vote for you? Because he votes the way I want him to vote. Well, I'll tell you that any one of us is probably going to vote the way you want them to vote. The question is, do you want a passenger or do you want a driver? Do you want someone who's going to be simply handed a sheet and said, this is how you vote? If you're a good conservative, you'll vote yes on this, or you'll vote no on that. That doesn't work anymore. We are in a critical situation. I am fearful for my own children. I'm fearful for their future. You need someone who's a fighter. You need someone who is tenacious. I have a 100% business rating with the Maryland Businesses for Responsive Growth. I have been nominated and elected by the Gazette newspaper as one of the winners in Annapolis last year. I did that as a freshman Republican. Why? Because I got things done, things that incumbents who'd been there for 20 years said you could never do. You could never pass estate tax relief in Maryland. Well, I got the governor to co-sign my bill. Why? Because it can be done. Don't let anyone tell you that it can't be done. And that's me who can do it. Thank you.